What's up, everybody? Welcome to Lil Kid Podcast. This is an exciting time because I finally have locked down this guest. It's been a back and forth for like 4 different times because you know what, my black ass sometimes ain't shit. I don't say anything. I say this to my wife right now. If you are listening, you are right 100% of the time, baby. I need to schedule things. I need a calendar. I need a dry erase board. I need to get my priorities. I need to know the time zones. I need to be better at geography. But ladies and gentlemen, everybody's and y'all's, I got my boy Day Peace in the house.
Appreciate the introduction, bro. And first of all, I'm excited to be here. And you're absolutely right. Got to get your shit together, sir. We've been trying to do this. I got babies. They got to go to bed at a certain time. But we made it happen, and I'm here now, and I can't wait to chop it up with you, bro, and see how you been.
No, this is okay. So let's get the backstory. I met this brother back in 2018 at
man.
That's
2018
wild. At the Big Pine. Big Pine Comedy Festival, Flagstaff, Arizona. Shout out to Hillary Hudson running things. Bomb.
Yeah, shout out to Hillary Hudson, the entire staff. They have what they contribute to comedy is beautiful.
Yes, the whole team. Shout out to them, and I was able to meet this dude, and I found here's why I vibe with you. One is you ended up in a place that I never thought black folks would end up, and at the time I was in a place that black folks don't normally end up. Facts. Utah and Iowa, which I had so many questions, and I was like, I just want to know this person and just figure out our stories and our transgressions, our trials and tribulations. And man,
how do we get from A to B?
Yeah, I'm just like, how you be Iowan?
Yeah, man. It's well, first of all, a long story short, that's where my wife is from. So that's the circle around how I moved out here, left and went to Arizona, and essentially the reason why we moved back to Iowa. Right. I'm not crazy about it. It's shitty. It's a shitty place. Not only is it's like shitty, where I am is North Iowa, which is like, I don't know, the worst of the geographical Iowa places you could be. I'm right on the border of Minnesota. So ideally, I'm 2 hours from Minneapolis. I'm 2 hours from Des Moines. Where comedy and other things are happening, I'm basically 2 hours away from.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it's a small town of like 2,000 people.
Your car mad reliable. You got a plan. You know exactly your gas mileage. Yeah. You got your stops. I'm gonna hit this 7-Eleven at this. Oh yeah, you know which exit to piss on.
Yes, man. So I mean, I'm originally from Detroit, so
I'm saying,
the first time I got out here, it's where I met my wife. And I didn't want anything to do with this place. But we went to Arizona on a 5-year plan. We ended up staying for about 6 years and moving back to be closer with family. When you have kids, it's a game changer because you just do things differently. You think differently, and it was all about what was best for us collectively. So moving back here and regrouping is basically what we've been doing for the last 5 years.
Okay. Well, so I gotta ask because you just brought up that you originally from Detroit. I totally spaced that. Cade Cunningham, how we feeling?
Cade, yeah. Well, excited, fucking excited.
Yeah, Detroit Pistons game.
He's looking good. He's looking good in the in preseason too, along with Luka.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Out of every sport that I care about, Detroit Pistons is my team. Like, that's my number one team.
I've seen that, and like I have a complicated relationship with Detroit.
What's your complicated relationship?
Oh, okay, so my pops, he's originally from Detroit, Chicago, and like New York. Those are like his three areas. Okay. And so I was raised on the Detroit Tigers, which I haven't like. Okay. I fucks with the Tigers heavy. I'm not, like that's like my third favorite baseball team. The Lions. Calvin Johnson has won me many fantasy football championships, and I'm grateful for that.
Megatron.
Yeah, Megatron, the ultimate weapon. The Red Wings, I fuck with heavy. I respect the organization, but the Pistons, just it's the Laker fan in me.
Okay.
Because that Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton,
Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace,
Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, but
Chauncey. Mr. Big Shot, Chauncey.
Yeah, I'm just like, damn. I thought we had that in the bag, and that's to me, that's one of the like I'll give credit where credit is due. They did the thing on that series, and so I give Detroit all the love. I imagine I've never truly been to Detroit. I performed in what was that? Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I did there.
I haven't been.
It's a great club. I love it, but it's outside of Detroit. That's the closest I've ever been to Detroit. I love the airport. I've been stuck in the Detroit airport many times. But what was it like growing up in Detroit? You know, are you homesick? Do you miss it? I mean,
I go through stages where I miss it, and then there was a huge part of me for a long time just felt like I outgrew it. Like,
yeah,
I think it was a mentality thing because growing up, I want to say I was happy and I had a happy childhood, but we were poor, and I feel like the poor goggle glasses that we had on as a kid, like we didn't know what was fucking going on. We didn't, like my mom was never really in a great relationship, so growing up I never really saw that, the relationship that she was in.
Right.
Like I had a stepdad for a long time. My real dad was abusive. So the relationship that I saw seemed okay. I thought she was happy. I thought that, but behind the curtains, not so much. So I feel like that was my childhood in a nutshell. Like it seemed okay, but if you pull back the curtains, nah, this shit was whack. What I'm saying?
No, I'm not fucking with this at all. At all.
Yeah.
I mean, so okay, if you don't mind sharing, how poor are we talking? How like?
So the thing that we used to do.
What's your favorite poor memory? Because we all have one.
Yeah. So my favorite thing that we used to do, which we thought, when I say we, I meant me and my younger cousins. We thought this was a game. Like this was what we deemed as a fun activity. Like we would go to Farmer Jack, which is a local grocery store, and
Farmer
we would
Jack? Is
Farmer Jack.
Is this second rate Trader Joe's?
I guess so.
Honestly, Farmer Jack sounds like Trader Joe's like wayward cousin. Like it's like
it might be, bro. We would go in the back of the grocery store outside in the alley, and we would dig in the garbage, and we used to call it going to the bin, as if that was again a destination. Like that shit is so crazy to me. And my grandmother, who was super like hateful and mean, she was always nice to me. I don't know what it was about me. I think it was the relationship that she had with my mother. But she was always nice to me, but she was like crazy mean to my two cousins. She would like throw us in the bin, and we would have to dig through the garbage and try to find something salvageable. And she would like judge us or rate us on what we find. You know what I mean? Like that's like we were a winner or a loser of digging in garbage. And that was a thing that we did. I want to say weekly, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 2 to 3 times a week.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. That is,
yeah. I mean, it was weird, but like again, we thought childhood memories are like, hey, I'm gonna get the best lettuce and cabbage today. Like we would. I don't know. It was a weird time to be a kid.
But you gotta like
in the
80s. In the hindsight, you gotta like appreciate it, because it's like you can look at where you are now. You got a family, you got a house.
Yeah.
You taking care of, like, and you can appreciate shit better. I mean, like it's not to sound corny, but it's just like you when you start from the bottom and you now you here, you're like, oh, all right, I'm doing well. Like the fact that hopefully you ain't got to send your kids out and go. You don't want them doing that shit. Like,
I don't know. Maybe I do. Like I said, I feel like these little shits ain't going. You know what I'm saying? So,
there are some times where I just kind of want to put my son in harm's way just to be like, hey, your dad was really out here like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think lettuce. I think the challenge of having biracial children is you get to those fork in the roads where you're like, bro, I never had this. You know what I mean? And it's not like, you know what I mean, college tuition. I never had like knowing I'm gonna have a hot meal every night. Like, you know that. And if you don't like this, you know your mom gonna make you a grilled cheese sandwich. Like, you know, these things are set up for you. So I think there's part of me as a Black father that, like, I would love for them to have a little bit more of that struggle. Yes. But also I'm glad that they don't have to. Like, that's 100%. Not, you know,
100%. You and I are both fathers of biracial children. So like, I fully understand that, because it's not like I want to stick them out, or, you know, hey, drop them off in the Bronx and be like, hey, figure it out. Like, figure it out, you know? But I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm like, I've thought about it, but I'm not going to do it. You know, I'll at least give money for, you know, a Metro card or something like that. But other than that, I feel that we want them to understand the struggle, not necessarily go through it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And how has that struggle shaped the comic and the person that you are right now?
For me, it creates this space of transparency. Like, for
I've noticed that in your sets.
Yeah, for the last few years, there's something that has shifted in me where it's like, I want to talk about it now. Yeah. And because I went the first few years, I never talked about my brother being in prison. I never talked about, you know, my relationship with my dad. I really didn't bring him up that much. And then I started having kids, and it's like, it's been this funnel of, I want to talk about this stuff now. And as it relates to other things going on, I find myself having these conversations with my kids. And, you know, I got a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I was just doing my podcast the other night, and I was talking to someone. I was telling them how last year with George Floyd, I watched the video with my 8-year-old son. Yeah. And my 8-year-old son, he was 7 at the time, but we went to a George Floyd rally, and I find myself just trying to provide information and sort of having him sort through it and figure it out, because he doesn't always get things immediately, but I think it's an important role for me to share that stuff. So as far as comedy, it's just put me in a place to let me start sharing more and putting more things out there.
So tell me about how the shows I see you've been putting out your own shows, been putting out, I believe you put out an album, correct?
I did put out an album, man. Yeah. It was the best and the most.
Let's plug that real quick.
It's now everywhere. So here's the thing. I put it out independently. It's called Peace of Mind Comedy Album, and it's on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, everywhere. I put it on Bandcamp, and I did it all independently. It was basically, I was coming up on my 10-year anniversary of doing comedy, and at moving back to Iowa was such a struggle because I felt like I started all over, brand new market, and I just wanted to create some art and put it out there and kind of pull together a collection of new bits, old bits, and just put it out there. And by putting it out independently, I learned a lot of things. Like, I learned it was a lot of
it. Yeah, because I might do the damn same. I'm sitting on this footage that I want to put out, but any advice?
No. Oh, so my biggest advice is absolutely do it. I recorded on March 7th, and then the week later, that's when things were like, hey, we shutting shit down. And then a week later, everything was shut down.
Wow.
So for 3 months, I was very blessed to have that as a project, to, you know, work through the editing and producing and putting it out. And that really kept things afloat for months, just being able to sell the DVDs and the streams. So here's my first mistake. In my mind, I was treating it like a real life fucking album. So I was dropping singles, like it was a fucking Kanye West album. Like, I mean, I had like track 1. Yeah, I had track 1 out, track 4, and in hindsight, like, people don't listen to comedy albums like that. They don't be like, oh, track 7 is my favorite, I'm gonna put this bitch on repeat. That's not how it works. They listen through it. So for like the first 6 months of release, like, I never released the full album until October. So I recorded in March, I put out singles, and then I sold the DVD for like 6 months.
Okay.
So I put the full album out, and then I didn't put it out on Apple and iTunes. Like I put it on everything else, but I had struggles with it. So the biggest advice is absolutely do it.
Yes.
Have a plan. The biggest plan that I wish I would have had is
have a plan.
Yeah, I wish I would have had a calendar and say March or Monday, this date, plan to release, a graphic or promotion, and really just lead up to the release, because that's what many stand up records, like that's what many albums do. They take this time and they spend it on the promotions leading up to it, and then the drop. And I didn't do that. I just sprinkled a bunch of shit out for like 9 months. And I didn't put the album out on Apple until 3 months ago. 3 months ago.
It's what? Right. That was right at the start of the summer.
Yeah. So again, my album, it dropped. I put it out on Halloween everywhere except for Apple and iTunes. And then I just was like, shit, this album been out for a while. I need to get it on Apple. And that was a struggle. So having a plan and working on it and executing it so that it all drops on the same day is probably the smartest thing you could do.
Having a plan. All right. You are my wife's new best friend. If she is listening, she is like, yes.
Do pre-sales, do promotions, I did a little bit of it, but I recommend you doing a lot of it. Going on other people's podcasts and just plugging it, just talking about it as it leads up to it.
Oh, this is part of the reason why you're here. Because I was like, I saw you was like straight up doing the most in the best way. And like, seriously, like I was like, my man is out here and just, and you got a great smile. You got a great smile, man. So I see the band on pictures on Instagram, holding the microphone and shit. And just, just I put on for the city tonight. We put on our own show. Black folks all in the show. This is great. I mean, like seriously, I'm seeing that, and me relocating to the Boston comedy scene. It's just like I've never been the type of the guy that puts on my own shows. I've just never done that. It's just for me. I feel like I'm way too damn busy and I'm way too disorganized. But I'm giving you your flowers, man, because I saw what you've put in a lot of fucking work over the last year. And I'm like, what? I was just like, yo, I gotta get this dude on because you're doing the work. So
I appreciate that.
Like, man, it's seen and it's inspiring, and keeps that mojo going. Because I'm like, damn, I met you what 3-4 years ago, and now like you're just steamrolling everything right now, and it's so cool to see, man. So tell me what
I really appreciate that, especially coming from you and the things that you've done. Like one of my favorite things about that festival is the networking. And people say that about festivals, and that's what you're supposed to do. But I think what people don't realize is it's not always instant network. Like you don't always like meet somebody and like you start touring together.
Right.
And you meet people and you start following them and you start just watching them from afar and you start rooting for them. So to answer or get to maybe the question that you were alluded to, I just felt like when you move to a new market, and what I've done for a lot of my career was, like I don't want to say I've done the work, but I feel like I have, but there's always more work to do.
Always.
It comes down to creating your own opportunity. Like I was in a place where, they don't do comedy here, or the only comedy that they know of or understand is the shit that they see from mega millionaires and famous comedians and TV, and so what I wanted to do is put on shows that I think are really great shows, and I didn't really care if it was in a small market, because that was the most discouraging thing. It's like paying comics to even if it's just from Minneapolis or Iowa or surrounding states, Wisconsin and Nebraska, shit like that. It was just about putting on really great shows, because I have this integrity thing where like I feel like every comedian that does comedy in the world should be contributing positively into the big pot of comedy. So whether that is putting on great shows, not shortchanging venues or areas where like undercutting comics were like, oh, I'll do the show for $300 less. Like just
Tell me
it's
about
like
it.
every comedian should have this like unspoken, I'm going to make sure I do right by comedy. So that was my driving force of putting on shit and creating my own opportunities and just trying to do it the right way. And sometimes that's very hard and you don't get the rewards or you don't get the flowers, but I sleep very easy at night feeling like I'm doing things the way that they should be done.
Man, well said. Because and for those who've never put on a comedy show, I used to do this briefly. I did it briefly in Salt Lake. I did a small independent show that I selected charity for 1 month, and we did one show a month, and all the donation went to like all the proceeds. We passed the hat, buy tickets, pass the hat, and you could donate, and all the money would go to the charity. I'd pay the comics out of my own pocket for their time. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Or like the bar would occasionally, tip out. I'd make sure they get paid. Really, I just wanted to do something different. And I ended up, handing that show off. But it's hard to put on a show. It's hard.
It's the most stressful part of the business to me. Like,
yeah.
And especially when it's especially it's a gig where and many of the gigs that I have out here and have done are all ticket driven. So if we don't sell tickets, if we don't sell tickets, someone's coming out of their pocket. There's going to be huge issues. And luckily, I haven't had too many bad shows where that's happened. But it's a lot, because you again, we're comedians, and so I've had shows that I've produced, and the production was fantastic, but my set was kind of shitty. And then there's been the other way around where like, all right, I'm gonna put more time in my material, my bits, my whatever, and the show was And so it's about having that equal balance, because again, we're comedians. We want to make sure we're great and we perform well, but we also got to be the manager and the producer and the booker, and a lot of times that's just so much to do.
It's facts. I'm producing my own shit right now as we speak, and so I'm just like, damn, I'm fucking tired. And so, but I think it speaks truth to power on just like your work ethic and just knowing the difference between where to go next and how to pivot. It looks like I lost you. I'm not sure if you're here. Shit, I think I lost my guest now. We're gonna definitely edit this out and post. We're gonna go to a short break, everybody. Join us. We're gonna figure out how to get him back on the show. After this short break. I'm not sure what happened. Okay. He just messaged me. Computer died. I thought I was plugged up.
My bad.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. After this quick commercial break, we had to pay some dues real quick. We had to pay some dues, pay some bills, pay for some batteries. Welcome back to Dave Peace in the studio. And you all good?
I'm good. It wasn't plugged up. My microphone was plugged up, so I was watching that, and then it just went off, and I'm like, oh, it's not plugged up. So.
Yeah, I was sitting there. I was like, well, damn. Running comedy shows is hard. I mean, I was like, damn.
Well played, Jay.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good, man. So yeah, okay. So growing up, All right. First day of school. What is your fit? First day. How are we? And what is that first day of school fit?
Uh, I don't remember. So my earliest memories is preschool,
Okay.
and that was at a. I want to say Catholic, but I don't know if it was really Catholic. It's like it was a church school. I'm gonna say a church school.
Okay.
So I'm gonna assume there was a slack and t-shirt, like a uniform.
Okay, but I'm talking about all right, high school though. High school.
Oh,
like,
high school. My bad.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's usually what people remember the most. Like first day of school, what are we pulling up with?
It was so I was in a FUBU Tommy Hilfiger Ram. That was my thing. And
Okay.
and Kanye West dropped around that time, and so I wanted to rock polos and like I wanted to like try colorful outfits, and it didn't always go well for me.
Okay.
What about you? Like what did you?
So, okay, I'm a bit older than you. As soon as you said Kanye, I was like, well, shit, I already know how old he is. And so my first day of school, I was pulling up with like, with just straight up like a tank top, and the dog chain, because
Wow.
bald head, DMX, bro, like, and
Okay.
yeah, but like it was DMX up top, but then Tony Hawk Pro Skater below. So, like, your boy was going through some things.
Yeah.
I was running through the six with my woes back then. I was very confused. Just yeah, had the big chain, and I remember I bought it off somebody in high school. Like I knew it was fake. That shit was chrome. It was tungsten, probably. Yeah, and I would just be wearing tank tops, and then I had like some Paco jeans. Yes, Paco jeans, and then I had like the etnies. They were hand-me-down etnies, and I skated very poorly. Anybody that knew me in high school knew I was not that, but they were mad comfortable, and I would wear a lot of red, black. So yeah, that was me, man. I was very much a LA up top, Orange County on the bottom. You know what I mean? So
see, I still commend you for having like a look. I didn't have a look in high school. Like for 4 years, I feel like I was just trying to figure things out, and maybe sort of like you, I was mashing things together. But
yeah,
I never felt very comfortable in high school toward probably the end.
So like the day you graduated, you're like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah, like I felt like I was on crutches. Like yeah, but by that time, it almost didn't matter to me. Like what I wore, did, or anything like that. I just knew like high school was over, and then like real life would start. And that's how I always looked at high school.
So was your high school like diverse, or were you at a?
It was. So I grew up in Detroit on the west side, but the high school that I went to was Cass Tech, and Cass Tech is the biggest high school in Detroit. So it's as diverse as a Detroit school can be, because it's downtown Detroit.
Right.
I think I graduated with I don't know the actual number. Let's just say 500 people graduated. And when I was a senior in high school, artist Big Sean was a freshman, so we went to the same high school. So yeah, it was pretty diverse, but I don't think diversity really. I really knew what that meant until I left Detroit, because I went straight to Minnesota.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Detroit black as shit. Like it's
super black as shit.
I want to just go and just get roasted, man. I want them to know I'm from out of town and just go in, dog. I just want to step off the fucking plane, hop through the terminal, get to the baggage claim, go to ground transportation, hop out on the street, and someone just cooks me, boy. Like just fucking.
You know what?
Look at this nigga's posture. Like it's
nigga standing too straight. No, see, so I would be in the same camp as you, because I felt like growing up, and I still would stand by this, I didn't feel like it was beautiful black. It was like ashy, dark, dirty, ghetto black.
Mm.
And I say that because I was one of them. Now when I go back, I feel like there's a beauty to it. There's this, there's this cocoa butter beauty to the black people now. But I was in the same camp. Like I wasn't popular. I wasn't hood. And our friends, we were doing stuff, but we were never really into drugs and gang. Like we were kind of nerds, or at least that's what we would be considered to, a certain people. So no, I feel like I had to grow up to get comfortable with being me. And I don't know how comfortable. Like I always have the conversation of in my head, like who I would have been had I stayed in Detroit, because I left when I was 19. So I know a lot of tragic stories of people that didn't leave. And so I know if certain things can happen to this guy, I feel like I wasn't too far from, a couple of bad decisions or a couple of traffic stops or whatever the case could have been, where I think I would have probably ended up being a different day.
Yeah, I've 100%. I 100% get that. My father moved me out of Inglewood and moved me to Orange County at right before junior high. And thank God for summer school, because it was able to help get me acclimated to moving to the suburbs. So I mean, for those that listen to this podcast regularly, they know eventually at some point I talk to. I think that's maybe why I do this podcast, is maybe a lot of my guests are mostly black, that maybe moved out of, that lived in the hood and got moved out, and I'm starting to notice that pattern. I'm like, oh shit, maybe you searching for something. Maybe it's time to see it there. Maybe stop podcasting. Maybe just talk about it. But but honestly, like I really truly appreciate you just sharing that, because it gives so much perspective. Because I hate to quote that sketch from Key and Peele where they say black people are not a monolith, because we're just not. That people, and I think as we got older and we realized like, oh, there's so much more to me, there's so much more to us. You start to see the beauty, that beauty that you mentioned earlier. You really start to see that beauty within yourself, within your culture. And it really helps galvanize you as who you are as a person. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, absolutely. I think you evolve to the idea of what stereotypic beauty looks like, and you start to appreciate your skin tone and color, and you start to just look at things, I guess, just from a more mature, experienced perspective. Because again, when you're young, you only know what you know. And when you see what you see, it's hard to look past any of that.
Right. And especially, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, it's just when all you know is a certain thing, I feel like it's troubling to navigate through the world that way. So when you do get out and you see, again, I was amazed when people would tell me they didn't dig in the garbage. Like that was a real life, like, what the fuck you mean? Like never, not once. You have a couch, that matches your, love seat. Like it was shit like that really blew my mind open to the world is way bigger than the street corner.
Yeah. Oh man, that's wonderful. So, when did you figure out like that you was funny? Just, I mean, like you were like, when was that moment where you were just like,
I don't know. Like, if I can be honest with you, I mean, I fall in the same category of, I've always was funny. I always liked making people laugh, and people said I should do it. I feel like, if I can be real with you, I feel like it didn't come until I was doing comedy. Because I have this, I have this weird, like, I tried to do comedy in Minneapolis once at Acme Comedy Club.
Okay.
And it didn't go well because I had 3 minutes. It wasn't like a bad. I feel like to this day I didn't bomb, but I know I didn't do well. And it took me a whole year before I got back on stage. And then I got back on stage and I started doing the open mics for a couple of months. And I'm like, I'm a comedian. And then my relationship at that time ended, and I got moved to Iowa. So that's how I basically came out here. And, I'm in Iowa and I'm like, I'm a comedian. I've done it like 8 times. And so I did a couple shows out here trying to just, I don't know, do something because it's Iowa. And that didn't go anywhere. So by the time I moved to Arizona in 2011 was when I was like, all right, let me try it. And so it's been since 2011. And there's a couple of shows that really made me feel like you should be doing this. But it was one of the early shows where my sister, but she's not my real sister, she's my best friend, from Detroit. Her auntie passed away early 2011, and she was diagnosed with cancer, and I had it was like my second sip, but it was my first time at a club, and clubs are just made for laughter, and it was a 5-minute set or so, but I was able to do like a moment of silence moment, and I just felt like in that 5 minutes, that was probably the first time I felt like you should be doing this. Like you are made and built for this. And I would probably say that.
Well, damn.
That's a great question that it always gets tossed around. But that's probably the first time I felt like, hey, I'm actually really funny and I can actually make strangers laugh. What about you? Do you have a show early on that made you feel like, Jay, you got this, bro?
I think so. I was very blessed and lucky to work with Patrice O'Neal at a very young stage of my career. I had maybe been 6 months in, and I remember just being extremely nervous because it's Patrice O'Neal, God rest his soul. Like he used to do a bit about how he would start an argument with a person just so they remember him, and he would get the receipt because that was documentation of where he was at. Bro, I love that bit. And so because of that, I started collecting receipts like crazy, and because it was documentation. And I remember I got pulled time, and they said my vehicle fit the description. And I was like, but that's impossible. When did it happen? Because I was at Carl's Jr. I got a double Western bacon cheese. Please let me go. These fries are getting like, let's go. And you let me off because it was just, that's how it went. But for me, I was just nervous because it's Patrice, and I believe he passed maybe like 6 months after this particular show. And so, but I did my job. I hosted and I watched him lay it out. He didn't really have notes for me. It's all a blur, but the fact that I was like, I just hoping for Patrice, I didn't care how I did, but I knew I was able to step on the same stage. You know what I mean? Like I don't even really remember that being funny. And, I couldn't remember a single bit from that set, but I just knew I was on stage with a guy that in my mind was like a legend, and arguably is, and also a guy who saved my ass, So I mean,
right? That's beautiful. The earliest person that I work with that I was just amazed by was Richard Pryor's daughter, Rayne Pryor.
Yes.
For whatever reason, I was like, again, I can't tell you what I said. I know I made some reference of wanting to try to get into the family. I was going to try to hook up with it. It was something like that, but I can't remember anything other than just going there, meeting her, and I was just like, I mean, I guess you can say starstruck, but I was just in awe. Like this was the closest that I had come to Richard himself or so, and for that reason, I was just like, I live in that moment.
Yeah, it's that greatness by proxy. You're like, it's like, because you're like, shit, man. I'm because you're just like, all right, apparently they trust me enough to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I got the call. I got the call. It wasn't like I really asked for it. It was just like I got the call or the text, and so I was just like, yeah, absolutely. Of course I'm available. So like that, just you know, the club giving me that opportunity and shout out to Wise Guys, love y'all for, the death. But just giving me that trust in me as a comic and as your is just such a freeing experience because you're like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. Don't fuck up, but I can do this. And
I think that the right amount of confidence early on can do wonders. You talked about something. I don't want to dwell on, trauma, but do you remember your experience at Big Pine?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was a moment that, like, it happened, and in my mind, I put it in a box, because we don't revisit. I can't even remember who all was around during that storytelling. Was Jay also there?
Yeah. Jay Washington, shout out to Jay Washington. Like Rodriguez, Corey
Yes,
Rodriguez, and he's great Boston comic. He's one of the main reasons I'm out here. Like that's my dog. Like I'm able to laugh about it now, especially with Rodriguez, because after the host, basically, so for listeners, I was walking two comics, female comics I was walking with them from to a show. It's rather late in the evening. I wanted to be a gentleman and walk with them to the venue to make sure that, like they were good.
Right.
It's late at night. We're in Arizona. We don't know shit. So we end up jaywalking. Cop pulls us over and immediately was drawing his firearm. And I was like, what the fuck? But I had my hands up. And so basically I gave him my ID, and tried to de-escalate. I was just confused, and he just sat me on the curb. I wasn't detained, but it was just annoyingly. I basically, and the women that shout out to them, they called him out, like basically like why?
Yeah,
all right, you know what I mean. And so it was clear what was going on, and the guy tried, the officer tried to be. Whatever, like, well, you just out here, I'm like, for jaywalking, really? And so it was frustrating. And I was just scared. I was really fucking scared. And I remember I ended up doing a bit about this for quite a while, actually. But I remember because I just needed to, I did it. I did a bit about it at the festival.
I remember that. I didn't know you had you did it past then. Yes, I remember that.
I kept doing it because I was still working through that trauma, because in my mind, I'm like, at the time, I was like 34, 35. And I remember I'm like, fuck, I'm like a full adult. Like I take Metamucil. I own a duvet. Like, why am I still a threat? You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I still a threat? And why am I still perceived as a threat? I was doing in my mind all the right things. I was escorting two women to a venue for their own safety. But I'm still perceived as a threat. And so like that shit fucked with me heavily. And so, but that's what comedy is tragedy plus time equals comedy. What is that, the formula? Right.
Yeah.
And so it was for me to have a weapon drawn on me and be personally, what's the word I'm looking for? But isolated, you
were kind of I can't. I had a word and I lost it.
Yeah, it's not targeted.
You were like singled out, like you were.
But to be singled out like that, and still perceived as a threat and being, basically detained for roughly a half hour. I was just like, what the fuck, man? But in any given situation or any day, that would have been crazy. But I was so glad that I was with comics, bro. Like, I was so glad I was with comics because I never felt so much love and just, and because I was around people that just get it, that have experienced some level of trauma, either from their childhood or fucking yesterday. So, I was just like, man, I at that moment, I fell in love with comedy. I remember being so angry, but I never like, I was like, man, this is why I love comedy. It's like, because you were around your peers that just get it,
Mm-hmm.
You know? Rodriguez, man, I love that dude because he got me to laugh about it. He's like, man, because I was ugly crying in Jay Washington's arms. And I was like, that got me fucked up. And he's like,
Yeah,
man,
man.
you look like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Boys in the Hood, where he came out. He's like,
yeah. Yeah, man. That was a moment where we all could have been you, and we've all been you in a sense. And it was so sad that, like, this is stupid, but I'm gonna say, like, you can't go nowhere and be black. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro.
We were having I had the best time. I had the best time there.
Ooh, and another thing, I even pulled out a receipt to show like on me.
That's why I brought it up, because you brought up the receipt.
Me, bro. Like, I was like, wait a minute. I even showed my receipt. Like, bro, I just left Southside Tavern. Shout out to them. Flagstaff. What's up in the building? Try the nachos. My God. Like, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But it's like, but at the same time, I was so happy that, you know, you were there. Washington was there. Like, you know, Corey Rod was there. Like, so it's having that. And it made, that's when I realized, it was that festival. That festival was such a turning point for me in my career. It let me know, like, one, the comedy community has so much love. And this is Big Pine is such a love-filled festival. It is appreciation for the art, and there's so much camaraderie there. There's so much.
It's very comic centric too. Like, they really love, take care of, and understand us. And I haven't been to many festivals, I'll say that. But and I also feel like my first time I was there, the previous year, I was a little biased because I knew the people.
Yes.
But it was that particular year that I went back where I was like, this is what all festivals should be very similar to this. Like, they do a lot of things right. So
right. And see, I was at NoHo. That's how I met some of them, and they were like, hey,
right.
And so I was like, all right, cool. And then it was, at the time, that's like an 8-hour drive from Utah. So, like, I flew anyway, but it was like, still, you know, I ain't driving. But, you know, but I was just like, and Flagstaff's cool little city. It's got a little Park City, Utah vibes. And I was just like, you know, little Dan Marley centric and Route 66 planes running through, you know, and it was a good time. That was like, those were good times. And so, like, yeah, shout out to, like, all of the whole staff. This has been like a Big Pine.
Yeah, I feel like they need to sponsor your podcast. Yeah. They're doing sponsorships. Holler at us.
Name of the podcast, not Big Lil Kid anymore. It's Big Lil Pine. That's what that's all this is. This is Big Lil Pine festival. Yeah, no, it's no, this is, and Mac, actually, that's when I had you on my old podcast. And so that's right.
So, bro, I forgot about that. I didn't know. We were talking about not Mrs. Marvel. Yeah, no, Mrs. Marvel, and I didn't know much about the Marvel universe at this time, so I was just sitting there like, you know what I'm saying?
Right? Of course, toxic masculine. You just toxic as shit. See,
beautiful.
Of course, like, don't get me wrong, but listen, okay. And actually, I think I said this to you. You don't fuck Ms. Marvel. She fucks you. Like,
I know.
She is way too strong for you. Okay, she's way too strong for you. She'll rip your shit off.
Yeah.
All right. Who were your favorite cartoons growing up?
One of my favorite was, so I'm a Batman lover, but younger than that was Darkwing Duck, but probably because of Batman.
Come on. Darkwing Duck is such an underrated. First of all, the theme song.
Dangerous. Like, that shit was like, what?
The mother, I don't know who sang the jingle for the Darkwing Duck, but that man needs a Grammy. Like that mother, like, I wanted to be in the studio with dude, because, you know, he had the hand over
right.
Darkwing Duck. motherfucker was spitting.
Turn my treble up.
Like he had background. Darkwing Duck.
Yes.
Dangerous. Like it had horns. Dog, it was oh God. Like that song was so good. It was so good. And like whoever that man is out there and the backup singers, give them their flowers. I want them to sing at my finger.
Yeah, no, that I think that's what drew me in, because I didn't care for the Ducks. Like I didn't Huey, Louie, and all of it. It was Darkwing that did it for me. But I remember liking Transformer. The Transformer movie is one of my favorite movies to date. Like it's
so terrible.
I haven't watched it in years, but that movie just resonates childhood. Like it was just something about watching that. And then as I got a little bit older, I'm not sure when Batman the animated series came out and the X-Men series. Those were like the best of times for me as far as cartoons. What about you?
Well, first of all, I'm to touch on Transformers the movie. I think that movie is way like it's about to get mad conspiracy theory, but I am a firm believer. Go back and watch Transformers the movie. Me and my brother have talked about this. I gotta have him on the show, but we have talked about this at a length, and I 100% like you cannot change my mind that Ultra Magnus set up a coup to try and get Optimus Prime. He set him up. He set Optimus Prime to be killed because the Ultra Magnus was the next in line. And then that's not a bad
assumption. Bro, come on. I feel like it has that Judas, ism. Okay.
Yes, and to set him up so he could take his place, but then it got like Rodimus, Hot Rod got chose, and so. You could drink the Energon if you want.
You know what? I plan. I have the movie on DVD. I plan to watch it within the next 2 weeks because I've just finished like all the shows that I've been trying to watch. So I have time for movies.
It gave us one of the quintessential '80s songs. You got the touch.
You got the touch.
You got the bro. Music just they don't make music like that no more.
Yeah, no, it was different. I remember watching. I just had my kids watch. We watched the new Space Jam, so we had to watch the old Space Jam. And the old Space Jam to me feels like a very long music video. Like they played the whole 5 minutes of a song. Like you don't do that in movies. You play like 30 seconds. This was like a music video, but the music was great.
The music was great. Sound hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high.
One of the best soundtracks.
Oh, spitting on that. All right, we got to get out of here. Last thing, I always like to ask if you can go back in time, see whatever age you're at, but go back and see yourself as a kid. What advice would you give yourself?
I have no idea how young I would go, but I know the concept of that I've learned through comedy is just to be as fearless as possible. Like be yourself and be comfortable with who you are and just be fearless. Those are things that I try to take on stage. So I would just try to find myself at an age where I was either just really unsure of myself and the direction, because I think there's a certain sense of, will I fail or will I succeed? Like you don't really know what's going to happen, and you just keep telling yourself like you'll be fine. I wish I can go back and be like, bro, you good? Be fearless in the decisions that you make and work every day as hard as you can to be authentically you. Like there's no reason to ever go a day where you're not who you are born and meant to be. So
it's beautiful. So like basically just jump into being. Just jump into being.
And I would believe it more coming from me. You know what I'm saying? Jump into being.
Jump into being. Jump into being.
You know what I'm saying?
Just you're like, oh, I can
stage dive. Yeah, I love it.
Jump into being and get that lettuce, baby.
Hey, I love it, man. This is dope, man. I very much appreciate you.
I appreciate. One more time, where can people find you, man? Where can people find you?
It's all either Day Piece Comedy or Comedian Day, and I'm all over social media. But again, if you guys have time, if you want to laugh, you could obviously buy the album Day Piece comedy. You can search it on any streaming, but the album is Peace of Mind Comedy Album. You can buy it or you can stream it. It's now out and available everywhere, and it's one of my favorite things that I've ever done in this 10 years. So.
Hell yeah. Well, make sure you go cop that. I always wanted to say that.
I wish we had those sirens. Like I drop those sirens, drop those bombs.
Did you hear it? I just dropped it. Like, yeah.
You have ordered, bro. This is the most fun you can have. Thank you.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate. Thank you so much for stopping by today. One more time, we show some love for your boy Day. Peace. Yes. Until next time, peace.
Peace.